we're going to be starting off on Sane for Burial Chamber. These are all actually pretty open maps for the most part here, so it is going to leave a lot of room for a lot of tossing, a lot of coordination between teammates, but also a lot of very different playstyles that can still come in. Some of these maps, specifically the Ruins and Blood Covenant, have a lot more side lanes, have a lot more closed off corridors that do make it more difficult to just run straight through and try to transfer the soul from one obelisk to the other. Burial Chamber is a little bit different. You do have a much bigger, a much more open map, so while you can run it faster without the risk of running directly into your teammates, you are also going to have to deal with the risks of being railed from halfway across the map and things like that. A lot of this changes up depending on the map, so these players are constantly going to have to be changing their play styles. I do believe, folks, that the match is almost ready to get started, and with that said, we can send it over to your casters.
All right, of course, we have been looking forward to this matchup for a very long time, and finally we get to see Liquid and Team Johnson play here. I mean, all of these guys have been playing fantastically. They've been scrimmaging, they've been getting used to the environment here, and the atmosphere is electric.
Yeah, this is a huge matchup. I know me and you and I, we've been talking about this matchup, you know, moving into this weekend, and we were really looking forward to it. We had a feeling these two teams would meet, and now they're meeting. You know, we talk about all the players individually, you know, rehash it again, they're all great players individually, and it's all about putting it together in that team, you know, atmosphere. Can you get that cohesion to work, right? Can you get that quad? Can you get that protection? So I'm really excited. I wasn't joking. I still got goosebumps getting into this match. I'm curious. It's interesting. They seem to have their favorite maps. Liquid going with Burial Chamber, Johnson going with you know, champ grounds, as you like to call it. You know,
it seems to me that both of these picks are rather aggressive picks. I mean, Ruins of Sarnath is a map that everybody knows pretty well. I mean, it's something that's practiced a lot, and it's something that is a little bit more controllable. It's maybe one of the least chaotic maps when it comes to sacrifice, so you can execute on your tactics a little bit more consistently. Both Burial Chamber and Blood Covenant, it can get a little bit messy, so it comes down to a lot of confidence to be able to pick these as your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think it just speaks to the, again, we know both these teams have great players on it. Their individual combat ability is top notch. Anytime you run into, you know, Sane, Carnage, Rapha, DaHanG, I mean, you're gonna have your work cut out for you, even if you have a stack or not. I mean, these guys are fighters, man. They're fighters.
Absolutely, and what we've already seen today, just a lot of really good rail play, and it's amazing how, just like TDM, individual shots like that can end up turning the game around. You know, one rail, one rocket on a power-up can be the game changer, quite literally, and that's what we look forward to seeing here as we get started on Blood Covenant here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the interesting things. Duel, it's more of a war of attrition sometimes, where you're trying to gradually bring somebody down, but in team play, you know, there's only so much armor to go around, right? So there's definitely people running around with lower stacks, and yeah, those hits make big differences.
And the armor certainly won't be lasting long as we get started here. Rapha spawning on HMG. I'm sure that's exactly where he wanted to be. What a fantastic spawn for him. He does have a Swordlight to contend with, but he can leave that fight at will. We do have the Soul coming up here very, very shortly, and it's going to come down to the communication of who's ready to dive into the pit and get bloody.
Yeah, it's always curious. Do you just dive in with the Scale Bearer, or do you ambush them as they get it? That was a great minute rocket, man.
What a great way to start things off. It didn't turn into a frag. It did not turn into control of the Soul itself. And it's going to be Johnson making that first capture back over here at Obelisk A, but we've got DaHanG coming right back in for the response, making a fairly clean pass instead. And I do like that it was a pass over to an Anarchy, who of course can cross the map very, very quickly. ID and crew trying to hold down the middle of the map as the Soul is still kind of stuck down here in Pillars. Before you cross out of Pillars where you're relatively safe, you really want to know that you have the route, you have the clarity, and you have the ability to get back over to Obelisk B.
Yeah, this is, wow, what a steal by Rapha. I like the communication there. You can see they deliberately delayed his route, right, to where they could clear the obelisk up. And then he had somebody on his heels, and he really used that Anarchy speeding and just zoomed over there as fast as he could. So big turnaround. It looked like Team Johnson was really going to kind of get off to a good start, but Liquid took it right away.
Absolutely, and of course, there's always a lot of pressure on you to just go all the time, but we can see how much a little bit of communication goes as Team Liquid. I mean, we're watching Wins right now, and he is throwing off a few rockets, but he has relatively little to deal with, at least until we have a Swordlight right up into his face. clampOK and Necro both getting fantastic frags as the Soul is now stolen away. ID is going to be up top, making sure to cap off a few potential routes, but it looks like it's going to be crossing over his head, dropping right into his lap, and he was in the right place at the right time as everybody's going to be dying, but it looks like we might have Liquid getting the return back to their obelisk.
This is a huge return, even if they don't complete it, because the power-up's coming up soon. I would imagine Team Johnson, as well as they kind of have to ignore the Soul here for a little bit and worry about the power-up.
Absolutely, and it's going to be coming up here in just a couple seconds. ID is just throwing rockets down the bridge, getting a 1 and 2, 3 smacks onto Sane, getting a few frags in the meantime, and Liquid is just about getting the ace on on Team Johnson right now as the power-up is taken away. That is just going to allow that Soul to sit there a little bit longer. It's always a nice luxury when you can grab a quad and just use it defensively.
Yeah, huge win there for Team Liquid over that power-up. Great work with the rocket launcher by ID. I mean, just laying those long-distance rockets there into a crowd and just doing a lot of damage.
And of course, seeing Rapha with the quad is what I'm sure everybody wanted to see here today. Just as it runs out, he's going to be coming onto the bridge. It's going to be an important place to lay down the defense, and he got a little bit of assistance there, making sure that his fragile anarchy wasn't going to be taken down at that point. But we are now well over halfway the score accrual for Rapha and crew, as he's actually breaking back out into pillars, hoping to get maybe a few free frags. A nice pop and lock onto Sane, making sure that he will not be a factor in the next few seconds. But he's going to have to come back into the chase here. It's going to be a nasty one onto the corner. I like the fact that even with the Soul being tossed, he didn't lose his focus. He knew what his target was.
Yeah, man, Team Liquid seems really sharp right now. Seems like Team Johnson's bringing out the best of them right now. Because, you know, Johnson's no joke. You've seen these guys play. But, man, we've seen some great stuff from Rapha already, ID. I mean, these guys are really putting it together right now.
Yeah, everybody on Team Johnson absolutely has a fantastic set of orbs, and they are making full use of them here so far. As Sane has got it back into his own wheelhouse, it's going to be a little bit of defense against a clutch, but when that clutch pops that shield, you kind of need to let him get down to the pad and wait it out and then do the damage. And really nicely done. That's exactly what we saw out of Carnage. And he is now breaking out of here, trying to push the defensive line forward, but it's still kind of at risk, still at play here on eSports for Team Liquid.
Yeah, that was nice interference by ID to cover his teammate running away with the Soul, turned around, landed a good rocket. Just good coverage, watching teammates back.
And at that point, we're going to be seeing Necrophage just coming up the stairs with a shotgun. So like, I mean, you can get really far with that, but against a skill bear, it's two walls just kind of grinding against each other for a while. Carnage popping back to the teleporter, ready for the fight on the power. It's going to be a great dire orb. Making everybody die on the pad, but as we get out of it, it's going to be a power-up taken away by Carnage, and this is potentially their last chance to dive in, get the grab, get the pass, and really nice weight there by Carnage on top of the bridge. If you could just cross that without getting into a fight, it certainly does help out a lot, but as you can see, we're going to have a lot of players from Team Liquid getting in the way.
Yeah, huge pickup from Carnage. That was really their only chance to get back in this. Team Liquid has a nice lead, so if they lost that protection, it's probably a wrap for the round. So Johnson back in it right now. They need solid defense, and obviously need to get the next power-up if they somehow last that long.
And if we see Liquid get the steal here and run away with it, it could be GG, at least on this first round. But of course, every round is going to matter here as Johnson wants to show that they can compete against some of these QuakeCon champions. Wins is just doing a ton of damage as Nailgun and Rail. Against the Scale Bear, it's not going to go very far, and you can see the frags from Johnson just making the way and starting to get it back over to point B.
Yeah, starting to dial in a little bit on their defense right now. Team Johnson, you know, Liquid seemed like they're getting a little more steals early on, and maybe Johnson getting a little bit of a rhythm here, could get something going. And if they get some good defense here, they get the next power-up, they're right back in this game.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they are wasting enough time here to force that power-up to spawn back up pretty soon. And if they can, I mean, it's rough because you want to defend that obelisk, you want to make sure you can get the points, but at some point, you got to break away and make either a quad or a protection happen. But it's going to be all about making sure that Liquid is not getting a free pickup of the Soul at this point, as Carnage is just going full Karn mode with the LG, doing a ton of damage and helping clampOK back in. He's still got a lot of health here, he's even got a teammate to help him out, but they do not have control of the top with a lot of weapons just yet.
That was a big one to get that back from Liquid. Liquid looked like it was going to get into their obelisk. You know, power-up's coming up. So if they would have had it and the power-up spawning, that would have put Team Johnson in precarious decision-making. Do we go for the obelisk or do we go for the power-up? Because, you know, they're going to be at 99% pretty soon.
Why not both, indeed, as clampOK is going to be popping through the teleporter, but no, Wins and Rapha exploding with these rockets. It's going to be bodies all on the floor on the power-up, and that is going to be Johnson actually coming out on top of that. Once again, somehow it's Carnage. Look at this. He's got protection. He had armor. He had Mega. He was fully stacked up. This is like classic TDM tactics, and that is going to allow him to defend Obelisk A for quite some time.
Yeah, I would imagine Team Liquid's thinking about backing off right now because of that protection. They're probably just trying to regroup. Oh, DaHanG came in anyway, running into a protection Carnage, though. Not good. Good job by Team Johnson, though, securing the last two power-ups, really swinging the momentum in their favor.
And anytime you can kill a Ranger, making sure that that protection is not going to be killed immediately by a Dire Orb, you think, hey, I've got the protection, I'm all good. Nope, Dire Orb says no. But we got Carnage and crew tying it back up, 86, 87%. They've now eclipsed Team Liquid's score, and amazingly enough, they have started from nothing and have come all this way. But now we've got, oh geez, the timing on that Dire Orb. He just knew that shield was coming up.
Yeah, he did. That was, man, they're really locking in right now. Liquid's got to do something to get this back. This is razor close right now,
This
man.
could be the last run here, but Necrophagist is on the chase, coming back through the teleporter over the top, not getting stopped by anyone. And even though he's not going to be the first one onto the obelisk, he will be, well, with a lot of health and a lot of LG. He doesn't really find his right target, though, as we do have Liquid starting to get these points back up, and this is going to be a very close game. Not the first today, and certainly not the last.
Yeah, we got a lot more competition to go between these two teams. 97-97. Man, this reminds me of that match we had earlier with it was 99-99 for about 90 seconds. Amazing.
We might see that again here as Sane currently in position and possession. He's going to have a little bit of a problem getting back onto the obelisk, but it is there, it is taken, and it's going to be all up to DaHanG as that clutch to do the damage and try to keep it from getting accrued back into 100%. It's going to be Necro coming back in for the grab. It's just going to be bodies all over the obelisk here. If we have one more player from Team Liquid die, that could be it, but no, he comes back in. Where did that scale bear come from? I thought it was just an anarchy, but out of nowhere, we have a little bit of defense, we have a little bit of scrimmage happening on the obelisk itself as it's been taken away and back into mid-map.
Yeah, the big thing though is that protection came up, so whoever has that protection right now is going to really swing the match in their favor. It looks like Clamp has it. So.
Clamp is actually going to be sitting on the enemy obelisk, just making sure that Team Liquid will not be getting anywhere near it.
Yeah, this is good play. I mean, everything's so close right now. I mean, any small cap and a few points is going to make the difference.
Well, as that protection runs out, there might not be any more options, but look at that bull rush, completely denying it, getting the soul, getting the pass back up to the bridge, and it is now taken away. We might see a victory lap here from carnage if he can survive as a ranger. Very low health. Is there a mega available for him? Yes, there is. Very fortuitous spawn for him as he comes back in, but look at this. We've got two players from Liquid ready to make this extend a little bit longer, but as they all die, this could be the end of it. But once again, we have a scale bear there. Well, nope, he disappeared. He's gone, and that will be the first round going to Team Johnson.
If I had to point, how about that play by Clamp at the end? If you're going to point to Senior Mug, grabbing the protection,
yeah.
But the game is in the balance, you know, kind of waiting on their end. If he's not there, we don't know what, you know, but he was there. He caught that clutch coming up, stole it. Good pass to carnage, good job by Team Johnson here.
And
that first one.
Obviously, it's also a risky play. You have one player at the base with protection. That means that you have one less player at your base and nobody with protection.
Yeah.
Where do you spend that power? But it looks like it was a good anticipation and a really good use of the bull rush as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to probably save some team communication when involved with that, where he knew where the clutch was coming from. It seemed like he was just waiting for him.
Really clean indeed, but as we get started here in round two, we have Team Liquid once again making a lightning strike twice here as they're able to get the first pick of the obelisk. It's going to be obelisk B for Liquid as they start to get these points together. Rapha breaking out of there, trying to get some health, trying to get some weapons. He does have a rocket launcher here, but of course as an anarchy, he really wants that railgun. He wants he wants a vantage point. He's going to get it.
Nice.
So now as he's going to be looking at Necro trying to get the soul, he's just going to sit back, make sure he's not going to get too close to this fight and just get rail after rail, and he is just nailing them together here. Nobody else being really aware of where he's coming from, but they're certainly going to be paying the price for it. As once again, Liquid is starting to put these points together. Rapha coming back in for a bit of a closer range defense with the rocket launcher. How long can he survive that? He's still got 20 seconds before that adrenaline comes back up, so it's going to be all down to that scale bear to make some damage happen. But we might see a steal, we might see a turnaround here as Necrophagist not going to be the fastest player as a Sorlight, but they're going to be crawling their way back over to their own obelisk.
Yeah, this is a big steal. I always think the steals right before the power-up spawn are very crucial, because obviously people got to divert their time and attention to the power-up, so while that's happening, you want your obelisk picking up.
Absolutely, so wins here. Only 5 HP as a scale bear. I mean, can you just kill yourself, respawn, and come back into it? But there's the soul taken once again by Team Liquid. Let's go back into this, but look at this. Necro is just on the chase. He doesn't quite get all the damage he wanted out of Rapha, but he certainly made his presence known. But 3 seconds to the power up. Here we go. Carnage is going to be coming around the corner just the right time, as well as the Dire Orb play. It's going to be a grab of the quad, immediately taken down to DaHanG and Rapha. And no chance for Team Liquid on that quad. And again, here comes the Mega. So he's going to be going, all right, cool, we've already got the soul in possession. I'm just going to be making sure that your way through to the obelisk is completely safe. And there are so many routes to get back over there, but carnage picks the right place for sure.
And it seems like Team Johnson's doing an excellent job picking up those power-ups. It seems like they've pretty much controlled them all. I think maybe Team Liquid got one in the previous round, but overall, it definitely seems like Johnson's got better team coordination picking up those power-ups.
And speaking of coordination, I mean, look at that call-out. carnage finding that anarchy on top of their bases, getting a really clean positional call-out from the rest of his team, and able to do some damage. It doesn't turn into a frag immediately, but it does make Team Liquid back off for the moment. Down to 10 HP as the soul is stolen and taken away by Wins here. Coming back through the teleporter, he's got a long road ahead of him, and he's going to decide maybe the bridge is not the safest way to go. He's going to drop down low. We're going to have to see if anybody from Team Johnson has gotten that intel.
Very interesting right now. I love seeing this delay tactic, you know, the communication that's going on. I love the team play, making sure it's clear. You can tell he has a little bit of rough patch, but he made it anyway. I mean, I just like that because, like you said, the desire to just go is there. So
yeah, and it seemed like nobody down there knew he was present for several seconds at a time, allowing them to get that capture. But once again, we have carnage getting the grab, getting the pass, but no, he actually passed it back over to ID, who brings it right back in, and this is getting a little bit dangerous for Team Johnson as the score is now really starting to slide into Team Liquid's favor.
Yeah, Liquid seems like they're coming back with a fury in this round, but again, I think their concern should be not securing the power-ups. They really need to make sure they get this next power-up, and especially if there's two. I mean, Johnson just seems to be doing a better job on the power-ups, and that really makes such a huge difference in these games.
Yeah, Necro had some great work with the spit there, and a fantastic rocket donk as well. Full 100 damage as he takes away a little bit of health. There's ID to get it back into base, but who else is there? Nobody is. I mean, all of this fight is mid-map. It's all about the item now as the quad comes back up, and it's going to be taken here pretty soon. We've actually got carnage spawning right on the base, and it's going to be all quiet for him at the moment as the soul is still out mid-map, but there it goes back into Team Johnson's favor, and they're going to start to catch up.
Very interesting, this matchup. Just it keeps swinging back and forth, even though Liquid, you know, it just doesn't feel safe, right? Their lead never feels safe. As we saw last time, Team Johnson came back from almost nothing and just got the win.
Absolutely. So a little bit of a quiet moment here as we actually have DaHanG down here taking a lot of damage from carnage, still throwing off a lot of nails onto him there, but he's going to be able to back off and recover and still ask him to bring the fight back into the base, which is, I'm sure, exactly what they want. Really nice pops and locks, but there's ID still pulling out with a little bit of damage. clampOK is going to be one of the last remaining linemen here to make some some plays happen on the base itself.
Nice little desperation scale there. Didn't quite work out, but he's trying to get that anarchy off the point. Curious again, we got 1 minute to the next power up. We're definitely going to see that given the score. So it's always curious to see who has control of the obelisk when that thing's going to pop up. I think a good strategy really is trying to steal that right before the power up, because usually there's a little less attention, you know, paid to the obelisk.
Absolutely, and nobody's been making any points here for the last few seconds as finally we have the still going back over to the Team Johnson obelisk. ID's back here to make the steal, makes it just in time, just as everybody's going to be falling into his lap, tries to make a pass, and that just opens everybody up for a ton of LG from ID here. He's once again going to be getting the pickup, looking for a faster way out of here, looking for some interference from his teammates, but instead he's just getting rockets to the nuts.
Yeah, a little redirection here. You know, the communication from Johnson's got to be careful because he's going to pillars isn't exactly safe. So he had to wait for Team Liquid to clear out that pathway, and it looks like they did for him.
And Wins, of course, making a handful of frags, so that's going to put most of Team Johnson in mid-map, which is really dangerous for, well, everybody at this point. This means that this is going to be a full party on the quad or protection coming up here in just a second. ID throwing that dire orb down, but the quad is once again taken away by, who is that, rapha, but not long-lived, as now taken away by Team Johnson.
Again, Team Johnson somehow securing that power up. I mean, I don't know what Team Liquid can do. It seems like Johnson's really utilizing the dire orb and some other abilities to get control of it, but Liquid clearly needs to make an adjustment.
And of course, anytime you see that quad dropped on the obelisk itself, just, you know, sit up there somewhere with the rail and wait for people to try to go pick it up. I mean, it just turns into the biggest fish hook ever. But right now, we've got points accruing from Team Liquid, and rapha having the last few seconds of that quad, certainly enjoying it, giving himself a little bit of time to get some weapons and get a better position.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a little disappointing for Team Johnson, having secured the quad, not able to steal the soul there. But again, you got to give credit to their opponent for, you know, really minimizing the quad, ganging up on him, and then rapha got the steal.
Wow, I don't know if I've ever seen so much damage from a nail gun below the bridge before, but of course, if you're on this obelisk, you do need to move on to a position there. It's kind of cool if you're able to get headshots on the bridge from down below, but you really need to have that height advantage to really be able to secure it. But securing the second round seems to be the name of the game for Team Liquid here, as they are just about to cross that point. We've got Wins with his back up for the final moment. Is this Warlock going to be able to deny it? Is this Ranger going to be able to deny it? Not if Wins' Rockets have anything to say about it.
what a great pop-up in mid-air. I mean, just some good work there with wins there, right? The Rockets, wow, just
So that will indeed tie it back up, and we are going to go into a tie-breaking round on our first map here on Blood Covenant.
Not failing to disappoint here. What a competitive match. Woo! I really can't say who has the advantage right now. It is really close. It's going back and forth. It does seem like, you know, even though they won that one, they got to be very careful about them power-ups. It seems like Team Johnson's been really coordinated on getting the quad, getting the protection. But they had a nice steal there, right? Team Johnson, even though they had quad, they weren't able to break through the Team Liquid defense. So that's something's got to be said about that. Their defense is excellent there.
Absolutely. I mean, once Liquid is able to get the quad, they were able to make good use of it. But getting it, as you mentioned, has been a little bit of the problem so far. And getting the soul is going to be right back over to Necro. They're actually taking Obelisk B this time. They have the priority. They have the option. And so this is going to be a very different round here as the Obelisk switch sides.
Yeah, always interesting to see when they swap like this, because obviously there's an entirely different strategy involved depending on your location of the map. So, you know, and maybe this favors Team Johnson. Maybe they were more stronger on this side of the map. This could be what they want right here.
Yeah, the interesting and maybe ironic thing about this base is that you're going to be getting a lot of pressure from the bridge, you're going to be getting a lot of pressure from the stairs, but if you can move out, those disadvantages become advantages. But it's going to be all about Team Liquid putting the pressure on and making sure that 100% of their focus are on fights like this, as we have Necro trying to get the last little bit of LG against DaHanG, but it's going to be rapha coming back in very, very briefly, but once again wins with the triple frag, 2 on the full rush, 1 with the shotgun, and that's going to be bringing it right back over to the Obelisk.
Yeah, great, man. Wins is really stepping up some great plays here for his team. Johnson off to a great start, though, so Liquid really needs a steal here. They need to complete the steal and good defense for the next power-up to really get him back in this round.
Well, it's always nice when you're in Anarchy, you can get your hands on that mega health, especially as you're running the soul. And now rapha has the potential opportunity to just rain down rockets. Now that he's gotten rid of clampOK, he can go on the chase here. And man, the damage coming out of him is insane, as nobody really realizes that he's right behind them with the rocket launcher.
Yeah, it's one of those things somebody might want to keep an eye on, that QuakeCon champion, dude. Yeah, he's a little disruptive, especially when you're not. Yeah, I've heard of him, especially if he's shooting you in the back. Not good.
It's amazing how effective spamming the snail gun down this hallway is compared to just spamming plasma down in the previous versions of the map. Of course, now you have that teleporter where you have players who will just be walking into a lot of damage without realizing it.
Yeah, it definitely is a great place to be banned now.
So satisfying.
It is, especially, oh man, seeing those 20s pop up like that is satisfying.
Or 80s if you've got the quad, just like rapha does here. I mean, anytime you let him have it, he's going to be holding on to it for a little while, even being a relatively weak Anarchy, but there's the quad down. It's going to be killed twice, but now it's going to be the soul back over to, well, let's see, it's going to be Obelisk A, as we now have Team Liquid having to catch up to Team Johnson for the first time this series.
Yeah, but, you know, Johnson got the initial cap. At least Liquid was able to get that quad. We've been talking about their struggles getting the power up. So this is a good turnaround for Team Liquid right now. It seems like they're getting some momentum. They just tied it up, about to push into the lead. So, and we've seen their defense before. Once they get locked in and start in their set positions, they're really tough to break that. It's tough to break that deep.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that ID is just trying to throw down a few rails down below, but he got taken out from behind there almost. He had to at least just give up his position, allowing Necro to get in and out, and that might have been the fastest Lizard I've ever seen. Necro just absolutely blitzing through the map in order to get that soul back home.
I didn't know lizards could fly. I really didn't. But apparently the tail is like a propeller or something.
That's an image. DeviantArt fan art in 3, 2, 1. But here we go. We got Necro playing a little bit of defense, but not for long. As once again, the melee is brought directly to the Obelisk, as everybody on Liquid is moving as a single entity through to the other side of the map. But we've got rapha not really taking any damage here. Is he going to find any fights at the Obelisk itself? Not so much, but it won't be long that way, as here comes the shots. It's once again going to be rapha having to defend it, but carnage with the dire orb, man, he is hitting just about every single one of those he throws out.
Yeah, I don't know how many dire orb kills he's gotten so far in this match, but it's been quite a few. It seems like every time you see that notification come up for carnage. Huge power-up picker right now with the game in the balance.
All right, so speaking of that power-up, I mean, he goes for the dire orb, but it is exactly like 2 milliseconds too early, as that will be wins as a scale bearer getting the grab here. He can take away a bit more health as he goes down for the pickup here on the Obelisk. And yeah, he should be able to get this no problem, but the question is, who can he pass it up to? He certainly can't run with it, but he's going to be handing it back over to rapha as that Anarchy trying to cross over the bridge, but it's going to be Anarchy v Anarchy, as Wins is going to once again have to come in and save the day with that protection.
A big steal by Sane to track down the soul carrier for Team Liquid. This is a big return. You know, Team Liquid got that protection. If anything's going to turn the tide, it's certainly a power-up like that, and you got to give Johnson credit for kind of minimizing what they could do with it.
Absolutely. I mean, for the last minute here, we haven't seen too many points going to either team. They're both kind of stuck at this 50% mark, but right now, Sane is going to be incredibly close to getting a steal away from here. Being able to use the pillars as a defensive staging area like that is really intelligent, and you can see that Johnson is also taking a page maybe out of Liquid's book and is able to make good use of that.
Yeah, scouting your opponents is always a good idea in this game. Learning any strategies, tactics, things they want to do, and maybe even stealing some of their own stuff and using it on them. Nothing more frustrating when you come up with some you know, tactic or strategy and somebody else busts it out on you.
Like, oh yeah, we've seen that before.
Yeah, oh yeah, you know that thing I came up with? Yeah, he just used it on me and I got owned.
Well, Wins is actually playing something a little bit different here. I mean, he's going to be doing the slow glacial play back over to the obelisk, but he's got mega health, he's got armor, but that LG just completely takes him down, and there's a bull rushing, who was that? Well, somebody from Team Johnson moving forward. It's going to be Clamp actually as that Scale Bear with Carnage right behind them. It's just kind of the rear guard doing a ton of damage and securing the grab of that soul.
It just seems like he's grabbing his Dire Orb and going right for the clutch on Team Liquid every time. I mean, how many times does DaHanG ate that Dire Orb? I'm sure he's getting a little frustrated.
Getting that clutching the orbs achievement, I'm sure. But we've got Necro just spamming up. It's going to be a ton of spam. Man, are we playing Clan Arena right now? It's going to be Bridge versus Pillars until the end of time, but now we've got Rapha coming in as this Dark Horse with the protection and a little bit of LG to boot to make sure that he is known. But we've got Johnson still taking away a ton of points here and starting to close the gap on this final obelisk here on Blood Covenants.
Oh, nice armor steal by Rapha. See if he can make the most. He's still got a little bit of protection left to make this happen. With the armor, it should help a lot, but they are all over him right now.
Yeah, he's doing a ton of damage, but he's not making the frags just yet, but he's finally able to make that steal. 14 health as the protection runs out. He's only going to have to rely on his teammates for protection now as he tries to make this happen. He's got a Sorlek to contend against, but now we have the soul taken away and secured by Team Liquid, at least for the moment. Yeah,
great teamwork there by Rapha, recognizing right the enemy on the point, kind of backed off, made the enemy come to him, and then a great pass to his teammate.
Yeah, playing a little bit of keep away there. Just, oh, you want the soul? That's cute. No, it's over there now. No, it's over there now. But now we have 50% for Team Liquid, and they're going to start to crawl that back up.
Yeah, huge. They obviously needed that with Team Johnson at 92%. They got to keep this defense up all the way, and they need the next power-up. I mean, we can't say it enough, especially with the game in the balance right now. The next power-up at 8 minutes may decide it.
And of course, everybody's going on their own little personal killing sprees there. Rapha getting 3 rockets, Necro getting 2 shotguns. I mean, it is just turning around every single second here at Sacrifice. But ID trying to make good, consistent work out of the LG. He's finally getting a hold on down as Carnage is going for the steal, but he's going to have to respawn. Rapha waiting in the wings, just ready with the shotgun and the adrenaline and the damage. My God, he is going to be the one potentially to push this into a tied, well, points at the very least.
Oh, this is getting really interesting right now. Roughly 10 seconds this next power-up. You know, so, oh, this is a big steal by Johnson. If they can somehow do this, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Liquid. I don't see how they can really challenge both things at the same time. They need this power-up.
And you've been identifying the whole time that, yeah, picking up the soul right before power comes up is a good way to buy yourself a little bit of time, buy yourself a little bit of room, and sometimes you even get a power-up out of it.
Oh, good steal by Rapha. You see, Johnson was thinking maybe we can get those last percentages while they're fighting over the power-up, but yeah, good job by Liquid to get there.
I think this time around, Team Liquid had figured out exactly what they were playing at and wanted to prevent that entirely, but we still have it on Team Johnson's favor. Rapha's going to be diving in to take down Carnage, protection or no. Rapha is the guy with the rocket launcher here, able to get the steal, able to do a ton of damage. Holy crap, he is just undefeatable as he starts to move through the map, making its way back over to Obelisk A, but it's going to be a really close one here as we do have Team Johnson reaching that 99% mark.
Yeah, huge plays by Rapha in this first map. I mean, we've seen it several times that honestly, he's bringing Team Liquid back a couple times from the edge of defeat. Especially right there. That stolen protection, that was so huge.
I mean, look at this. You've got 3 players waiting by the Mega. You've only got Rapha in between them, and they're all waiting for the right moment. But waiting could be really costly for them right now, as every moment on the Obelisk will matter. It's down to the last 2% for, well, last 1% for both of these guys. It's going to be Carnage trying to go for the steal here. It's going to be taken away. It's going to be found, and there's the denial of the return. Rapha taking on down. Carnage is actually taking it right back over through the other side and realizing that it's not going to be safe. Nope. It's new intel, a new plan every moment here on Blood Covenant. clampOK trying to stay okay with the rocket launcher.
Yeah, whoever can secure the soul right now, I mean, this is going to be it for this map.
All right, well, it's going to be contested here once again as we have 2 or 3 players from Team Liquid piling onto it. And at this point, you have to throw a lot of your strategies out the window as you just need bodies on the obelisk.
Yeah, no time for strategy right now. You got to throw your bodies there for sure. I mean, oh, it looks like they might be cleared.
We've got 1, 2 players coming over the bridge, and there might be more where that came from. ID getting that initial frag, but rapha is taken down as well. Carnage and Sane doing a fantastic job on the defense here. clampOK just filling the obelisk with nail as they're looking for that last percentage just as we cross the 10-minute mark. But as the bodies start to fall away, we might run out of time, and that will be Team Johnson taking away the first map.
Wow, great play. I mean, neck and neck, first of all. Let's give credit to both teams for the entertainment there. This great frags, neck and neck, back and forth, but credit to Team Johnson. You know, rapha had some great plays there, but so did Carnage, so did Clamp. Everybody involved really had their own moments. It just seemed like Team Johnson got a little better of it over the power-ups, and when the games are that close, I mean, come on, a little extra protection, a little extra quad.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a big difference, it's a big deal.
I mean, Carnage said that they're just there to have fun, and it does look like they're having fun, but obviously when it comes to crunch time, they're no slouch at all. Team Liquid is looking over here, looking a little bit more dour, kind of finding their bearings, kind of collecting their thoughts and collecting themselves for the next map.
Well, as we know, they're professionals. I'm sure they're gathering their thoughts, as you said, coming up with, you know, adjustments. I'm sure, I would imagine the power-up discussion is going on there privately, like, hey, we have some opportunities there, and we lost the quad, lost the protection. What can we do to minimize that? And yeah, you said Team Johnson, yeah, they're just here to have fun, but you could hear the reaction when they won the map from the desk here, and they're definitely pumped, they're excited, so we'll see what happens this next map.
Yeah, compared to TDM, where you have players setting up on, you know, red armors on megas and making sure that at least one player from your team is stacked up before you dive in for that quad. Here, you have that dire orb in play, and we saw that come out of Carnage so often where you just have that split second, you know, less than 200 milliseconds to pop the orb and steal away the item. And who needs a stack at that point? You're just appearing out of nowhere directly on the item.
And it really did seem like he had fun with the clutch with that dire orb. He was really going after him.
Absolutely.
He actually had a nice steal, I think it was in the first round. He timed the protection just perfectly. He dire orb, landed right, I think he dire fragged somebody, took the protection on top of it. I mean, it's just great timing. Unfortunately, it didn't work out later. He tried the same thing, and I think Wins ended up taking, like he said, a millimeter short of the protection, just missed it. But it just shows you the strategy of the dire orb, very effective, and Carnage is one of the best at using it.
And it's something that every team competing in Sacrifice will need to respond to. You know, right now, these plays for the items are so chaotic. You have everybody diving in, just trying to get some damage in. Of course, when you're a clutch, it's usually a good idea. That shield certainly does help out a lot. But with the buffed gauntlet that we have here in Quake Champions, you're going to be seeing a lot of bodies fall on there anyway. So, you know, we might see over the course of even QuakeCon some real strategies start to evolve around the play for the item.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the dire orb, as we've been seeing, you know, in those group hectic fights, even if you miss, I mean, technically if it goes through them, you're going to do some damage. So one, just throw it into the crowd, and, right? And then slip gate to it, and what happens. You'll probably get somebody in the middle of that, you know, hectic frenzy over the item. I mean, we've seen it, you know, in previous Quakes. We used to always joke, you know, the quad pit. You know, anything involving a power-up, even in going back to Quake 1, protection and quad, you jump into this area and it's like everybody wants that one item, you know? So you're jumping in, it's just hectic. It's this total cesspool. There's rockets coming in, there's rails coming in, people come in with shotgun, gauntlet. Like I said, it's just, oh man, it's just a mess. How do you get out of there alive is the big thing.
It's a really good question, especially as we start moving into Burial Chamber, just like you said, where the soul spawns especially is just a really nasty spot. And right above it, of course, on the tilted platform, you have either the protection or the quad, and there's so many ways to attack it. It's right in the middle of everything. There's like a dozen sight lines to it, you know, close range, long range. There's even a teleporter that goes right on top of it. Of course, you still have the dire orbs in play. It is messy in a beautiful way.
I think I was actually, when you were talking about how open it was, I'm glad you pointed out the teleporter, because that's kind of like a little X factor with that pickup. I can just tell a personal story playing Burial Chamber and stuff, and with Fatality, and we were timing the power up, and a guy knew we were timing it like right on the dot, so we sat by the teleporter, and you wait for the power up. You go through the teleport system, you're going to get the telefrag and the steal of the item, so it's something to watch out for in this map.
When everybody's Ranger, nobody is.
But it's definitely, because these players are so good, so you can make the assumption that, you know what, they're going to be on the timing, they're going to pick up that item right when it spawns. You can play off that, come right through that portal.
And this is where the precise timing really becomes a factor. I mean, not only for the pickup of the item itself, but if you're throwing a Dire Orb onto it, hitting that point in midair, launching it at the right point, it comes down to milliseconds for sure.
Yeah, the timing of the slipgate when you teleport, not as easy as it looks. You know, these guys are really good. I know Carnage, they come around you, oh man, look at that. He just threw the orb and killed somebody. But like you said, the timing, you're off by a couple, some milliseconds and you missed.
Absolutely. But of course, as we move into Burial Chamber here, and we're just in this warm-up here, we'll have the match going very shortly, which is when we'll see one or the other team go for one or the other Obelisk. And it still seems kind of contested, who prefers what? What's better? What has more tactical advantages? And I think this is actually very similar to Blood Covenant, where one of them is definitely like a much tighter, more claustrophobic Obelisk to contend for. But if you can push that defense out, you can hold on to it for a much longer time.
Yeah, and I would like, the differences here, especially the more cathedral, church-looking side, the high side where the heavy armor is. It seems to be a very popular choice on the map, but I have seen some other teams, based on their team composition, prefer that lower, more hectic.
Like Top Gun?
Yeah, they actually like that side. So it really becomes a team preference and tactics.
All right, so as we get into the first skirmish here, as the soul spawns up, of course, we're going to be seeing a lot of frags happening in the rail/rocket room, but it's going to be clampOK. Oh, he's got to be very careful. We do indeed have a slash coming out of here, which is a great pick for Burial Chamber. Of course, the speed is fantastic, the crouch sliding is fantastic, and the damage trail is a nice little bonus.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting choice. I like how Slash can leave that trail around the Obelisk. It can be very disruptive, not to mention the speed, so she's an excellent soul runner as well. So yeah, I like the pick, and I don't think we see enough Slash. I love seeing that crouch slide. It's awesome.
Well, we're just seeing Team Johnson not take any chances with Obelisk B and forcing Team Liquid over to it, but it's still, to their credit, the fact that they were the ones who got to make that first initial decision. We have Rapha tossing it back over, just baiting out the soul, looking for that rail angle, but not quite getting the hits here. He finally puts one together on that BJ, taking clampOK down, but was that actually a throw the soul back outside, which puts the soul right back into mid-map, which could, depending on the communication, help your team out a lot.
Yeah, big steal by Johnson there. They couldn't get anything going here, Team Liquid. So again, the power-up coming about 30 seconds. They didn't allow Team Liquid to get the steal. Liquid's probably going to try to attempt to steal for maybe another 15 seconds or so. Then they got to focus on the power-up.
We're starting to pay keen attention to Necro's rails here, but of course, getting a railgun is a little bit more difficult here in Burial Chamber. It's right in this room that seems like it's out of the way, but it's right in the middle of everything. It is a main route for carrying the soul. Carnage is looking for a rail right now himself, and sometimes it just means, all right, we're going to be leaving the soul where it is at the moment. We want to get some weapons.
Yeah, and it's also, a lot of spawn points around it, and it's just a lot of damage. Everybody wants the railgun too, as well, because it's so open in the middle. So railgun is huge, so you got a lot of people going for it. It's just a hectic area.
And this is especially where you want one. I mean, Raph is able to get the soul back over to Obelisk B as it's going to start putting some points together here, but it's going to be stolen very quickly. Raph is going to be back here mid-map. But where did that item go? It's going to be right back over to Obelisk B as it's going to be taken, and it's very difficult to do that damage, but Rapha, with the last bit of nail, is able to take away the soul, take away the protection, and here comes more points for Team Liquid. And again, the nice thing about the Obelisk is that if you can push the defensive line out, you don't even need to worry about the Obelisk itself for a while.
Yeah, it's really hard to get past you once you're in some of these choke points. So yeah, if they can stretch out, that's going to be really difficult to do against a team like Johnson, because they're going to be putting their own pressure and poking holes in your defense. So, but still, that was a good job by Team Liquid not to give Team Johnson much off that protection. They had good defense there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not like you have a lot of room to maneuver once you're able to get that steal and start trying to toss that soul around, but Necro's going to be holding out here in the rail room. Might even pop up towards rocket launcher. Now he's still looking just for an angle here on the soul itself, and he's going to be seeing that slash trail, looking for the shot, trying to line it up, not quite getting it just yet. And the time that he's spending here could really punish him if he's not able to get anything out of it. There's a toss that'll send the soul right back into mid-map once again, and Necro might be in a good position for the grab. It's going to be gauntlets out all over the place here, and DaHanG, he's usually such a classy guy. But no room for class here as he pulls out the gauntlet.
Yeah, going for a little fisting action there. Yeah, it's definitely not classy.
All right, but Rapha is going to be the one redefining classy here as with 6 HP. He's still making rocket fresh, still making his way here. It's going to be a Nyx from behind as we have Slash just slashing and burning his way through the map. And it's going to be the soul in the hands of Johnson, actually.
Yeah, big if they can get this. Oh, wow. Poor ID. little push off the ledge there.
It's always nice when you can get that done on an opponent, but we have the point starting to come back here, and we're like 4 minutes into this, but we only have like 30% for either team. We've seen a lot of time with the Soul spent outside of the map, spawning back in the middle, stuck in the middle, and this is still a very, very close match.
Yeah, it just shows how competitive both these guys are, how evenly matched they are. It's really coming down to these power-up pickups. Again, Sane doing some great work here, off the protection.
Yeah, Sane's rockets, I mean, protection or no, his rockets are just insane here as he comes back in mid-map, looking for some call-outs, looking for these last few seconds of protection to give him some more accolades.
Yeah, I like what he did there. They secured defense, and he had some more seconds. Like you said, push out, get some more frags, keep them off of us for a little bit.
But here's Team Liquid flowing into Obelisk A room here. It's going to be Rapha trying to get this pickup. As an Anarchy, it's always a little bit risky. Your butt always kind of puckers there when you're on the Obelisk itself. I mean, you could be taken out so quickly, but as long as your teammates are covering you, once you have that soul, you are in and out of there like a flash. And there's Rapha getting it back over to point B. He's going to be trying to hide behind a pillar. And he's got nail gun, he's got rockets. A rail would be really nice here, but the hit scan damage might just need to be enough.
Yeah, Team Johnson really putting a lot of pressure, but it's so evenly matched, man. The combat is insane, it's intense, it's really back and forth. None of these guys are missing much. I mean, I can imagine, going into these battles, it's like everybody's hitting, and it gets really tough to build a stack, maintain a stack, and get any kind of momentum. So that's why I think you see a lot of back and forth right now with the Soul, and that's why, again, the power-ups. Power-ups are going to be the critical factor, especially when it's this close of a match.
Absolutely, and of course Team Liquid has been doing a fantastic job of defending point B here so far. clampOK with the double machine gun. I mean, it's not a lightning gun, but it is still incredibly volatile. But speaking of volatile, there's that dire orb taking him down very quickly. But it's 15 seconds, like you mentioned, to the power up. There goes the Soul back into mid once again, getting set up, and we might actually have the Soul spawning right before the power up here. This is going to be, I want to say awkward, but it could be beautiful depending on how it gets played out.
Yeah, I like the reset strategy in Johnson. It's a good way to get that Soul, as you mentioned earlier. It's really tough to kind of get out of that area cleanly. So just throwing it off the ledge there, getting it reset in the middle, and you have somebody there waiting for it, it's a good strategy.
All right, I've been waiting years for this. We have DaHanG on the quad as the slash. He just got a couple frags with that trail, and he's going to be taking the Soul right back home. He's only got 11 health, and he's going to be looking for a little bit more damage as the quad runs out. It would be nice if he could even like pass it off to a teammate, but right now, anytime you can get a quad carrier sitting on your Obelisk, it allows you to breathe.
Yeah, it looks like Team Johnson is just going to back off and kind of do some internal timing here and make the call when they think the quad's off before they attack. But still, that buys Liquid time. They got a nice lead now. It's going to go up to about 20% lead. So again, this match is so evenly matched. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another power up at 8 minutes. It's been really close.
It's so good for DaHanG that he's been able to get a rail here, and you can see that he is just picking people out of midair, out of nowhere, and leaving them nowhere to go. I mean, this is going to be a lot of points taken by the Soul here, as DaHanG is still going to be holding up the defense. He gets the call-out, though, and runs right in with the slash play, getting the rail as well. He's going to be railable coming up this jump head. It's risky for him, but the rails are whipping either way. There's going to be 2-3 players on the Obelisk itself, and there's carnage making a double rail on the Obelisk. Very close range, very difficult, especially with that 9 health, but he's going to try running it. Does he have anybody to pass it to? Not so much.
Yeah, they really need to get away with it. Obviously, Team Liquid at 99%. If Johnson wants a chance, they need to get the steal and the next power up.
And 1% is all they need here, and it looks like they might just get it as they're able to take away that first round. I mean, it took a very, very long time, but you could see that the competition between these two guys still keeps ramping up.
Yeah, nice comeback there for Team Liquid. Again, highly competitive, hotly contested match. It came down to, obviously, nice, like you said, having a nice quad in the back of your base, just sitting there with the machine gun. Very soothing. I feel much more secure with my teammate with a quad.
We're gonna have to see how secure things are as we get ready for this next Soul to come up. I mean, these initial frags, I mean, yeah, you do spawn in that 5 seconds, but it's so much better if you can come into the Soul with maybe a little bit of armor, a little bit of health, a little bit of weapons. It goes a long way, but we're gonna have to see how far the Soul goes as it spawns up. Nobody's on it immediately, but there's Slash. I think that's DaHanG who's able to get in and out of there like a flash. The only person who can maybe even match that speed is Anarchy, but it's not gonna happen just yet as they get priority on the Obelisk going to point A.
Yeah, curious to see how this round turns out. Liquid got the Obelisk they want. We've seen it before when they really lock in on defense. Sometimes it can get difficult. So now they have the Obelisk they want. Seems like they're getting a little settled in here with DaHanG hanging back and feeling comfortable. So we'll see what Team Johnson can do to turn this around.
It's like everybody kind of piles up on that wall and they group up, making sure that they're ready to say 3, 2, 1, go. but DaHanG took the fight directly to them, nailing him to the wall with those rockets, and he's still able to come back in here and secure a solid defense. The only thing he's really missing right now for the up top play is a railgun, and I'm sure he's missing it as he's throwing these rockets out of the door. And fortunately for him, he's getting some close range fights, but carnage's rockets midair are getting the edge on him.
Yeah, unfortunately he couldn't answer the midair of his own. He tried to go for that shot. I guess what you hope with the railgun, I know he had good position, you hope somebody gives you a nice FedEx delivery, you know, just kind of runs in and you frag him. Thanks for the railgun.
The frags are nice, but it's all going to come down to whether or not Carnage and crew can actually take away the soul, and it's going to be hotly contested down here in the armor atrium. But as we have the power about to come up, attention is going to have to be diverted here pretty soon.
Yeah, this is be big for either team. It really depends how it goes. Johnson, for their end, they need to get the steal before the power-up and the power-up, try to get themselves back in the game. For Liquid, you get the power-up, start defending. If you get the power-up here, I mean, by the time it wears off, I mean, you're looking 60, 70%. They're going to be in a great position if they can secure this.
Liquid's going to have it, and holy crap, wins. Did you see that? That was actually a telefrag with the Ghost Walk. Not something you see very often in Duel, but with everybody crowding onto the power-up, a little bit more common here in Sacrifice, but that is now a fully stacked wins with the quad, at least until he gets emptied down.
Yeah, big steal with the quad. We'll see if Johnson can make something of it, but Rapha still has that soul. Johnson at 0%. Oh, wow, that hurts.
Really good, really smart play. Oh, there's somebody with the quad out there. I'm just going to go quiet for just a moment and see if I can get an angle with the machine gun, and it worked out brilliantly. We have no points accrued by Team Johnson just yet in this round.
Yeah, and this quad, it looks kind of a scrum. Looks like Team Johnson really couldn't do anything with it. It's gone back and forth. The quad's a huge target, as you know. Everybody shoots at that guy. So, good job by Team Liquid here. I mean, what a recovery. I mean, seriously, especially after the first map, so contested. Now they're up to 65% to 0. I mean, they're really putting the work in right now.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that once Team Liquid is able to get the lock here on point A, they don't really let it go. And as you can see, everybody's looking really comfortable in their position. Of course, you can have an Anarchy come and try to cause a little bit of chaos. But Rapha's going to be breaking out, getting a good read, and he's got a rail as well. And with these distances that they're playing with, things are getting really chancy. We're nearing that point where Team Johnson is just going to spawn and go. If you can get a rocket launcher, cool. If not, you better hope your gauntlet is good enough.
Really impressed by the defense, Team Liquid on the second obelisk. We know Team Johnson is bringing it. They hit their shots. These guys are tough competitors. To be able to shut them out like this, even if they somehow, you know, give up 10%, whatever, it's very impressive by Team Liquid. Certainly builds some confidence going into the next map.
Absolutely, but we're very, very close to tying this back up map-wise, as Team Liquid could indeed take Burial Chamber without actually a whole lot of effort, it seems. Of course, that's not true. There was a ton of effort, a ton of focus, but it paid off for Team Liquid.
Huge momentum change. What a round by Team Liquid there. Obviously, Johnson, I'm sure, is not pleased with that second round performance. So they're going to have to regroup a little bit going into the final map. But great job by Team Liquid. That defense of theirs on that obelisk, just very impressive. And then some of the things we saw from Rapha, like you said, going quiet there with the quad. You just watch the, shh, quiet. Shh, I'm not here. And then the quad goes right by, and then, oh, by the way, I'm shooting you in the back. Thanks for the steal, and just, yeah, really intelligent play. Something you expect from a QuakeCon champion.
Absolutely, and it's something we're going to be seeing a lot more of here as we go into a third map. It is indeed going to be Ruins of Sarnath, which, as I predicted earlier, could be a map where both teams are going to be feeling pretty confident. And of course, now that we're at 1-1, that number doesn't quite tell the whole story, because as you saw, that first map was just back and forth the whole time. A really grueling one, a really intense and stressful one. Burial Chamber kind of went to Team Liquid's hands, no problem. Yeah,
the only one you could really say round one was somewhat contested, but overall, you know, especially compared to the close game matches of the first map, yeah, Team Liquid, and then of course the shutout in round two. You got to think about the momentum and the confidence. You don't want to be shut out. It's one thing to lose a tough round, and you were there 98 to 99%, and you know, whatever. It's a few plays here and there, and we get this. But when you have 0%, it's far more than a few plays. It's a dozen plays, 2 dozen plays. You know, things need to get corrected here.
Well, we're going to have to see how that plays out here. Of course, we're going into our tie-breaking map. One of these teams will be able to take the rest of the day off, as they will be advancing and going to QuakeCon. The other team will have to try again in the lower bracket.
Yeah, I think either team obviously will be disappointed that they don't just win straight through. Obviously, both teams have a lot of confidence. You know, hearing the interviews, obviously carnage seemed a little pumped up, a little bravado in his interview. He seemed ready to go, and you know, I'm glad he touched on how much fun they have together. That's in the end, this is intense competition, but part of competition you got to have fun. It is a game in the end. You know, we're all here to have a good time, and you know, I like to see players like that laughing and having a good time, but at the same time they're also passionate. You know? So when they get the wins and they get to take it seriously, but you have fun with it.
And right now, it doesn't look like Carnage is smiling so much here. I mean, he just knows he has to focus. He has to get his team together. They have to have a really solid plan coming into Ruins of Sarnath. I think one of the things that made Blood Covenant kind of workable for them was they can have a lot of fun together. They can just get a lot of really sweet frags, you know, down the hallway, on the quad, a lot of really nasty fights. Burial Chamber, of course, has a little bit more breathing room, especially on Obelisk A, and that's where that coordinated, practiced, rehearsed team play can really come into it, and that's where Team Liquid has a little bit more of an edge. On Ruins of Sarnath, I don't know which way that's going to go.
Yeah, this is a bit of a wild card for me. It's really hard to see. I've watched these guys scrim on Sarnath the other day when we were in the practice area, and it was very close. Very close.
Who took it?
I think Team Johnson took it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Ready? Shh, don't tell anybody. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Team Johnson took the practice. Or no. Actually, I take that back. They lost it. I take that back because I remember talking to him about it afterwards. So now I recall the conversation I had with Carnage. So, but he claims, they were holding back a little something.
Well, we're gonna have to see if that scrimmage result goes into the actual real play. And we're going to be warming up here in just a moment. But we still have DaHanG playing as Slash, just like he was in Burial Chamber. And I got to say, I was loving a lot of those plays.
Yeah, Slash, man. Underutilized, but I thought that was some pivotal change of momentum there with the Slash. Because the trail, one, it's really hard to follow her. And I think he got a nice couple trail kills with the quad when he had quad and he left the trail and blew some people up. And I'm like, wow, this is, and she's so fast. So like you said, the only person who can really compete with speed is Anarchy. And then, of course, Anarchy can't exactly pursue with the trail. Anarchy's kinda,
That's exactly it.
So it's a big deal, and I think Liquid obviously utilized her very well.
Yeah, and one of the beautiful things about setups like this is that all it takes for more people to see Slash used more is to watch people like DaHanG, people like Cypher just make such good use of her.
Oh, talking about a great Quake player. To go to the European side is, Cypher, man, and his movement is legendary.
Well, they're going to clash at QuakeCon, but they've got to get to QuakeCon first. We've got Wins out of the gate for this third and final matchup here, as he's going to be throwing down a lot of hit scan in the LG room. He's not going to be getting the LG himself, though. It's going to be carnage getting that tasty prize, as the Soul will be spawning up here in just a second. He's going to be looking for the rail, though. Oh, he actually missed the dire orb, but made up all the damage with that shotgun. Nicely done.
Nice little steal here by Wins, just waiting for it. I'm always curious. I noticed Team Liquid did this earlier, where they didn't really just pounce on the Soul. They more set ambushes for, because running down that hallway is not exactly a great place to be.
Yeah, especially with the 5-second respawn timer. If you could just clear the map for a few seconds, that can give you all sorts of opportunities. But here, it's going to be Obelisk B taken by Team Liquid, and it's going to be a huge mess on the point itself.
Yeah, I really like Obelisk B on this map for defense. Again, that kind of tiered up higher position. You notice there in the back, those little side avenues where the stairs are kind of give you some cover so you can peek in and out. So it's definitely a preferred choice. And we've seen several teams prefer that one.
And of course, getting out of there is a little bit more difficult. I mean, you have to take that Soul and toss it over the wall and hope that there's a teammate back there. But as I've seen, these guys actually know how to coordinate that from time to time, which is why they're down there and we're up here.
That's right. And we're going to see the next 40 seconds. Johnson really needs to steal before we saw it in the last map, where if Liquid gets in on defense and they secure that first power up, by the time that's over, they're already like 60% to nothing. So you really have to get some pressure on the opposing team early on. You can't let them just dominate defense early on. This is going to keep ticking up. 2 minutes is a long time to give them an offense.
And once again, like you've mentioned many times here, I mean, Carnage and crew definitely want to make a Soul Steal happen right before the power-up comes up, and they were very close to getting some points on point A there, but they had to give it up, and they've got to focus on the power-up at this point. Coming up in 2 seconds as rapha is going to be overlooking it. It's actually going to be DaHanG taking it as that slash, which is going to be incredibly useful for Team Liquid, as now they can just play this thing defensively and actually take it back, as we had just 4 points taken by Team Johnson. Here comes DaHanG, here comes the play, and here comes the cap.
Yeah, huge pickup by DaHanG. This is going to really give Liquid some momentum. The only thing he really should be worried about is calling out for that die orb. Watch out for the Ranger.
Yeah. And you can see that he's actually being a little bit conservative about the angles. He has the protection, but he's still kind of backing away from the fight, allowing 3 players from Team Johnson to head up there. But of course, they're all going to die, and it's going to end up being a really good thing for Team Liquid here, as they're already at 50%.
I got to say, again, Team Liquid, when they lock in on D, man, it's impressive to watch. These guys are no joke, man. Team Johnson's good, man. Just to keep them off of the obelisk and keep them at 0 like they have. And this is the 2nd round in a row. Well, they have 4%, but just great D by Team Liquid.
Jeez, rapha just getting a triple on the rockets there, and it's going to be Sane trying to make something happen as well. rapha's going to be taken on down. Here's the chase through the teleporter. No rail out of Sane just yet. This chase is going all over the place, but you can see that soul carry is just evading very, very effectively. We finally have that taken right back over to Team Liquid's base, as DaHanG is looking forward to lay down the defensive spam himself.
Yeah, if Johnson can't get any kind of steal right now, if this just keeps ticking, they're going to be in a very precarious position, assuming there's still some time on the clock. With 4 minutes coming up, power is going to be coming up. The Team Liquid will be in that 90, plus percent point. That puts you in the, darned if you do, darned if you don't kind of situation.
That's exactly what it looks like. Everybody from Team Johnson was holding back there for a few seconds, and I'm sure it was a point of discussion, but they decided to give it one more push before the hype comes back up, and it's going to be Necrophages getting a lot of damage off of that and allowing one of his teammates to get away with the soul. We're going to have to see if they can make it all the way back over to point A.
Just the fact, even if Liquid somehow gets it back, it's important that they stop the ticks, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they can secure this power-up, they can change momentum.
Absolutely. So we're going to see that go away, and it's going to be actually Team Liquid taking away that quad. Oh no, it's going to be rapha. And once again, we get to see rapha with a quad, not something that anybody on the opposing team wants to see.
Yeah, the best player in the world with 4 times the damage.
1 times is bad enough. 4 times is, well, forget about it. But forget about that quad run. It's going to be a rail right out of the teleporter, right out of the jump pad. And it's going to be a very short-lived shot there, but it still might be a short-lived round unless Team Johnson can make some security happen on this obelisk.
Yeah, huge steal. They really needed that. So again, they need defense. They can't let Liquid get anything going here, and they're going to have to get this next power-up. I mean, they're really at a difficult spot right now because Team Liquid already has close to 80%. Even just losing 1 power-up can be devastating right now.
I mean, Wins didn't even see that Starlight behind him with the soul. I mean, we've actually got Team Johnson managing to disrupt Team Liquid's awareness of who's where on the map. And you can see that everybody's kind of crowding in. And 3 rocket frags for DaHanG as they go for that steal. We're going to have to see how quickly they can make it back over, though, as everybody else on Johnson will be spawning either mid-map or actually in the Team Liquid base.
Oh, nice defense there. I love seeing that from DaHanG, and then he follows up with a great rail shot. Just good teamwork, right? The soul carrier going right behind. He left the trail, doubled back, made sure the trail was even twice as bad. And yeah.
There is a lot of redundancy in Team Liquid's movement right now. They're making sure that they're leaving no chances for the soul not to get in, but that might leave them a little bit more compacted on the defense here, allowing Team Johnson to move in and get some of these angles for free. But angles are one thing, hits are another, and so far Team Liquid is making them.
And something interesting about their lineup, like I said, a little redundant with the movement, running in Anarchy and a Slash. Two small champions. I don't think I've seen another team do that. Usually it's more of a mixed bag, and having 2 light champions, it might be throwing Team Johnson off a little bit.
After a round like that, you might see more teams start to play just that mix-up as we have the first round go into Team Liquid's hands. And of course, they're still looking very focused. I mean, anytime the camera cuts over to rapha, I mean, it might as well be stock footage at this point. The guy is a rock.
Yeah, man, I talked with Shane a lot about Quake, and he is just highly intelligent and like cool as steal a line from Stuart Scott back in the he's cool as the other side of the pillow, man. This guy, man, he's really on top of his game, and he's tough to rattle.
You can get your rapha body pillows at the merchandise store, by the way. But we have ID diving in for the soul. It's not going to be lasting very long, though, as Necro, with only 7 HP, is, I mean, he's been mandated to do some protection, but it's not going to go very far. And the soul doesn't go very far in mid-map either. Here we go, finally, DaHanG breaking out of there and getting the claim of Obelisk A. Changing things up a bit here.
Yeah, It's amazing the momentum, right? Going from the last map, that last round where they really shut out Team Johnson. It just seems like since that point, Johnson really struggling to get things going. Look at this rocket.
I mean, DaHanG is firing rockets against both the Sorlag and a Scale Bear. I mean, he can put them up against the wall, but they weren't dying.
They had a little bit of an extra stack, but putting out that damage, man. Great rocket work. Johnson has B this time, so we'll see how Team Liquid can adjust.
It's an interesting choice because they did go for Obelisk A. They seem to prefer it in this case at the very least, but sometimes it's just a matter of, all right, the Soul has been contested, nobody's gotten an Obelisk yet. What's the closest thing? What can we just get secure for ourselves at this point?
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta take what you can get in this game. That is for darn sure. We got 30 seconds though to this next power up. Again, these games are so close. Getting the quad, getting the protection, it's going to make the difference between winning and losing, especially now that this round is more in the balance compared to previous rounds so far.
It's certainly going to make a difference here in the next 15 seconds. We do have Team Liquid currently racking up the points here, but they're going to need to turn their attention. But you can see that all of Team Johnson is actually rather far away from the item room. We're going to see Team Liquid be able to come into there first and have priority and have position. Look at this, they are just completely surrounded, but oh, surrounded or no, it is the Scale Bear on a rail, just making his way through, getting the grab for the protection and taking it away. But it's going to be Rapha getting the handoff of the protection, doing a ton of damage, and getting the pickup of the Soul. He might be running it back out of here and getting the return back onto Obelisk A.
Huge protection steal, huge. We thought Clamp might have got away with that. And then again, Rapha, of all the people of Team Liquid to end up with the power-up, I would think Rapha's probably on the bottom of my list. I don't want him to get it.
And we expect these quads and these protections on Rapha to turn into a frag video, but as you can see, everybody just kind of gives him some space at that point. Weird.
Yeah, again, but you gotta give credit to Team Liquid here for really turning out 51 to 13%. Really, it started in the balance, but they're just pulling away with it a little bit.
Pulling away with the one health frag is always significant, especially for wins here, as they're going to be actually back up to 51% here already. It's still a huge fight over the Soul at this point, but it's a fight that is turning into the Soul getting returned just about every single time, allowing Wins to kind of set up a sniper position and rain down the rockets and rails from above.
Yeah, it's definitely a good position, just shooting rockets into a crowd. Even though they got the steal, they definitely took significant damage there. It'll be difficult for them to come back.
The reposition out of Wins was amazing as well. He's like, all right, I've done the damage I can do here. I'm going to go back to the teleporter. And he actually got 2 players out of that with a rocket launcher. So the damage is dealt. Everybody on Team Johnson is going to be significantly softened up by that fight. So this is just going to be a bloodbath. But bloodbath or no, they're still going to be able to make it back over to Obelisk B. It's a bit of a miracle that they're getting any points right now.
Yeah, huge steal, especially with the power-up coming up in about 20 seconds. They really need the D. They can't let Team Liquid try to get the steal here. If Liquid somehow gets the steal before the power-up and secures the power-up, Johnson's going to be in a world of hurt.
Absolutely, but it looks like the D is silent at this point as Wins is going to be doing a ton of damage, just trying to get it back over to Team Johnson's Obelisk. But now it's going to be Rapha with the Soul, getting it back into control, and you can see that nobody else is anywhere near him as the quad comes back up, but that has its risk as well. We do see Team Johnson getting the initial pick for that quad.
Yeah, this is going to be pivotal. They got the quad.
Oh no! Never mind.
So
no
much
quad.
So much for them having the quad.
All right, so Clamp is going to have to try to do some damage here, but he's going to be LG'd on down. I mean, look at this this frag counter. Team Liquid is just turning Team Johnson into putty.
Yeah, what a big turn of that quad steal. Team Johnson really needed that quad to get something going, to get the steal, to get now Liquid really looking to put the final nail in the coffin here.
And of course, DaHanG in the Quake Live catch for the flag days, so it's definitely that guy you're going to be seeing push forward onto the quad and start making those runs. So it's always a joy to see him go on a little bit of a frag video of his own here. But we've got clampOK down in the LG room, taking out Wins. Certainly a good start. Almost gets number 2, but DaHanG just waiting until the last possible moment with that super shotgun.
Yeah, it's getting to that point now. So look, we have a minute to the next power up. Johnson's in a world of hurt because it is. You can't spend too much attention, even if they get the steal. If you give up the power up, it might not even matter. So
this is the last wave for Team Johnson. They have to push this forward right now. They want to go to QuakeCon. They don't want to have to play this back up from the lower bracket, but down to the final percent. Team Johnson has showed up, but where are the bodies? They're looking for the shots, they're looking for the sniper shots, but if they can't make the hits, they won't be going to QuakeCon, they won't be moving forward in the upper bracket. There's 2 bodies, 1 body left alive. It's only an Anarchy. He's going to be incredibly fragile, as that is going to be just one after the other piling in, but as everybody dies, it looks like that could indeed be Team Liquid going for the victory lap, victory loop with the slash trail, and that turns into a lose for Team Johnson.
A little classy middle finger at the end of the match.
Oh yeah, the classiest.
The classiest
The
middle
classiest.
finger. But wow, I got to give Team Liquid a lot of credit for the turnaround.
Yeah.
They really seem to dial in there, and wow, I just can't say enough about their defense sometimes. Johnson, really makes it hard for you, and they just seem like anytime they just couldn't get any momentum going. And Clamp got away with the quad, got stolen. They get away with the protection, it gets stolen, and it just seemed like wow, they couldn't get anything going for themselves, and for that, I mean, you got to give the credit to Liquid for executing.
Absolutely. I mean, as difficult as this makes the rest of the day for Team Johnson, that was a fantastic series, really close games, and you can see these guys walking up to each other, shaking their hands. I mean, everybody knew what the stakes were. Everybody knew how competitive this matchup was, and I don't think anybody's really sad about it. It just means that Team Johnson will have a little bit of work to do in the lower bracket.
Yeah, I know, maybe a little bit of work to do before QuakeCon, assuming they make it, but yeah, I think they should be a little proud.